How's it going, everyone? So in this video, I want to show you guys how to set up a simple, easy, and effective water irrigation system if you are a gardener and you are going on a trip and you cannot water your plants daily. This is the exact situation that we run into. My wife loves doing gardening work in the backyard, and her joy is coming home every day and then just spending her time in the garden. However, we have a trip planned coming up, and it is hot summer here in Miami, and the plants would simply die, especially vegetables and fruits that you're growing in a pot. They will die rather quickly if you don't water them regularly on a daily basis. We have a irrigation and watering system in the front yard, which we set up as a sprinkler. And I have a Orbit timer, Orbit Gen 2 timer set up in various places in the yard. However, for the backyard, I really want to try to do spotted irrigation, which is using a feeding tube directly feeding or irrigating into the soil for those potted plants. She has a few. I'm going to show you guys when we go outside and actually do the setup. But before that, I'm just going to tell you guys what things you need, okay? Basic stuff, like to get started right away. My best recommendation is the B-Hyve. This is like an irrigation timer system. This is entirely wireless. This is the B-Hyve Gen 2 like faucet timer. Usually if you buy this, buy it with the Wi-Fi hub so you can control it when you're away, as opposed to having to physically control it using Bluetooth with your phone nearby. So buy the Gen 2 wireless faucet with the Wi-Fi hub. You will love this system, okay? So once you have this, the next essential thing that you need is a Orbit tomato watering kit. Now it says it's a tomato watering kit, but this kit works great for other gardening needs. If you need to water any stuff in particular pots or in particular area in your raised beds, all works the same, okay? Basically, this kit comes with a few things, okay? I'm gonna show you guys what is inside. Your bread and butter, of course, is the irrigation tubes. This is the rather long tube that they provide to you. So this is one giant long tube, but what you're gonna do is with this tube, you're gonna run a simple main line out in the center. Okay, so this is gonna be working as your main line, and you cut it to length to your exact needs. With this main line cut, you're gonna cut multiple small lines, okay, that will come out from the main line using this kind of a setup, okay? So if you see this, this is a little T, like a T connector, okay? You have the T connector, which comes out like this, okay? You have about 25 of those, and I think you have a various size of T connectors, which all looks like this. Besides that, you're gonna have the final irrigation like sprout, sprout that is looking like this. So this one, you're gonna directly put into the soil, and once you have the tube connected and this sprout over here, okay, you connect like here. So you connect this barbed area with a tube, and this non-barbed area is just gonna have water coming out. With this, you can have the water coming out directly, or you can hook up another line of some sort and have water directly be positioned into a specific area, just a small length of tube that you can custom cut from this main tube that they provide you. So this main tube is gonna be your bread and butter. You're gonna customize this as a main line, or you're gonna customize this as the lines that's gonna come out from this barbed T-hook. And then just basically, once you see the setup, you're gonna understand it's very easy to set up. And this tube is gonna connect to just a standard water hose on the outside, okay, your standard water hose. You connect this provided thing to your standard water hose. On one end, it's gonna have a stopper over here. That's gonna have a filter over here. So the filter is gonna stop the water. And the water basically comes through your standard faucet. You put this on the standard faucet, connected, and this end where it's gonna convert to the small area, this is where you're gonna plug your main line in. So your main line is gonna coming from here. And again, all those lines can be detached and reconnected rather quickly. So once you finish using this, you could, just put the entire system, disconnect the entire system and put it away for the next time. You're gonna go on a trip and use this as an irrigation. Or you could customize and maybe hook more lines and split it more into different areas using just whatever is provided in here. So whatever is provided here is ready to go. You can literally, we're gonna go outside and we can literally set up exactly what we need for our trip. And then you guys will know that exactly how you're gonna set up your own system. It's very plain and simple. But so just to quickly recap what's in the box, you get a main tube, okay? You get those, the end system where you're gonna, plant into the pots. Hey, Sweet Pea. You're gonna plant into the different pots where you want the water to come out. And then you use those T-barbs to direct and split from this main line on where you want the water to go. Okay, so plain and simple. So with everything unboxed and ready to go, and of course you have some other accessories to like hook it into areas and plant it into areas. But that's pretty much it. This is what came like in just one box. And obviously you can see I got 2 boxes, but I think for our needs, this 1 box of lines is probably enough. And it's not terribly expensive. So you can get multiple boxes and just return whatever you don't use back to the store on where you bought it, right? So next step, we're gonna go outside and we're gonna get started. All right, so now we are outside taking another look at everything that we need to have irrigation set up, okay? So I have my faucet over here. I simply put a splitter so I can still use the water hose if I want to. And then this side is gonna be dedicated to the irrigation system right here. Now you can see I directly hook it up to the Y splitter, but eventually, once I have the irrigation set up, I will simply put the B-Hyve wireless timer on here to actually put this on a timed setup. And again, B-Hyve water faucet wireless setup. This is the Gen 2. Make sure you get it with a Wi-Fi hub so you can use it remotely, okay? But this is the last piece of setup and it's very easy. Now we have the hose ready, okay? So I'm just gonna use a common hose, standard size, all right? And as I said, this end is simply going to hook onto this little included attachment over here. And that's what we're gonna do next, okay? I'm gonna leave my camera over here to show you guys. Some tools you'll need. A plier is always helpful with removing the faucet stuff, and a scissor to cut those small tubings, okay? And the first thing first is I'll just connect this attachment plastic piece onto the faucet and make sure everything's tied up. Okay, so this part is done. The next step, we will have a look at the garden and assess exactly where we're gonna line up the hose. So now I need to measure out the main line, how long I want the main line to be. And for that, I will call my wife to help and have things set up rather quickly. All right, so after consulting with my wife, I will show you guys the final layout setup, okay? And we moved the plants closer together since we're gonna be going away, nobody's gonna be using this walkway, so we put the plants as close together as possible. And I run my main line still through the center. And again, this end is simply going to be hooked to the connector right here once the setup is complete. And it's going through this way, and it's running on the bottom. And over here, we're gonna be using a left and right split for 2 rows. And finally, this tube will just stop right over here at the gardenia. So once we know the length, next step, I'm gonna just cut the excess and then have this tube end right here. Okay, and then we're gonna be using those hoses to do the left and right T-splits from the main line, all right? So in the instruction, it says that kind of attaching those couplers with hand is a little bit tough, and you want to have this tube being baked in the sun, nice and soft, in order to do it rather a little bit easier. So just keep that in mind. And if you live in a colder area outside of South Florida, have a bucket of hot water to soak the hose to make it soft, so you can cut it easier, you can do the coupler easier, would be my consideration. And of course, the first step, if you look at this adapter, there is a locking tab and a unlocking tab. So you can twist and turn to make sure it is locked or unlocked. So let's unlock it first. So this is unlock and this is lock. So we're just gonna lock it, and now you can see it is fully attached and you can't really pull it out, and it's pressurized. So once you turn on the water will come out from the main tube. And this is our starting point. So we're gonna just start at one end of the plants. So I am ready to make my very first cut on the main line to split it into the guava pot, okay? So for the guava pot, I'm gonna use 2 of those staked coupler. And basically I'm just gonna line one to the left side and just stake it to the left side. And then stake the other one to the other side. So for this setup, I will need 2 hoses coming in here, okay? So let's make the first cut, and we're gonna be using this T-hooked barbed wire, okay? Let's see. And we will get enough length to raise it up here, and I'm gonna cut right over here. Okay. Ideally, you want some stake to really secure it, so maybe I'll give it a little bit more, and then we'll be using this little stake to just kind of stake it to the ground, if it works. But I don't think it's essential for what we're doing. But let's just cut first. Let's see. And the tube itself is very easy to cut, okay? So I have enough length, and I'm just gonna make a simple cut. Boom. Once it is cut, we're gonna really push hard on the barb coupler and just really make sure it goes in and rests in there. Having a glove gives you a little bit more leverage because you have more grips with a glove, and you want to push the barb all the way into the tube. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to push as hard as I can all the way in until it actually pushes the end. Okay, so one side is done, and let's see. We're going to go to the other side to continue the main line. Again, having a glove really gives you a lot more leverage. Nice and easy. You can adjust the angle by turning it a little bit. All right, so the first one is done. Now we need to customize one additional single line to split to the two of those staked ones. Okay, let's see. So I'm gonna cut one more line. And it's not gonna be long because we don't really need a really long line. Okay, short. But you're gonna be using a lot of those T-couplers for sure, okay? Connect this to the main line. Once this tube is soft, it's very easy to push, right? And now we need to use another T to split it into those two, all right? It's like a classic setup with two spigot on two ends of a larger plant. Just twist and turn, make sure it is all the way in, all right? And now it looks like this. And then we just add two short lines to connect the two spigot. Gonna be same length. There's lots of mosquitoes. And we will connect this to the other end of the T. And we complete setup for the very first pot. And then the rest of the pot is gonna be exactly the same, so I don't want to bore you guys. And I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like, and then I will go ahead and finish the rest of the irrigation setup for different pots. And then show you guys once it's completely done. All right, so now it looks like this, right? Mainline, your individual pot connection, and this will go on to this one. But this thing helps you stabilize the final staking of those hose lines. So, and again, you're gonna connect the barbed wire, the barbed one, to the hose so it doesn't pop out. And for larger pots, ideally, you will want two of those to make sure the water is distributed evenly. So one is done, and you simply just install the other one, okay? And it only gets easier. The more you install those, the easier it gets, really. And you adjust the angle to make sure that, you know, it really goes in nicely. And you're gonna stake it to the bottom, okay? And the water will start flow at the bottom. All right. Ideally, I'm gonna install two more stakes. This, just make sure it doesn't pop out. And I can show you guys once it's done. Okay, this is nice and a lot easier than I thought. Okay, so one is already done. Let me show you guys. Super easy. The rest is going to be exactly the same. All right, check it out. So the main line, attachment, main tube. You put a T over here to split into whatever you need to split more. And those are the two extra hose I cut. This is the connection hose that I cut, and another T coupler. And then the final staking barbed spigot over here. All right, and that's it. That's one pot, and I have I have 6 to go. So I will show you guys once this entire process is complete, and we'll do a final test with it on the automatic timer. All right, guys, so it took me a little while, but I just finished actually setting up the whole irrigation system. The very last step left to do is actually just hook up my wireless, the wireless timing faucet from Orbit, and have it put on a schedule. Okay, so the entire process actually, surprisingly, is not very complicated. It is just a little bit time consuming because there are a lot of lines that you need to cut for each of the pots that you are planning. And also because of the toughness of those little wires that you have to push really hard to get those barbs in. My hand kind of hurts midway during the process, so I took a little break. But if you have a similar yard like mine, you can definitely get everything set up within the whole afternoon. And next I'm going to show you guys what it looks like with a completed effort. Okay, so we start from here again. This is the starting point for our tomato slash potted plants irrigation system. You can see the line is running from one pot to the other at the very beginning, okay, because I don't have enough space here to actually put them very close. So this part is a little bit wasteful in terms of the tubing and the connections, and also going to this big pot, okay. And as you can see, the second pot is the same setup with one inlet and 2 outlets. Each of those outlets is that stackable barb spigot over here, okay, with another T-line connection that goes from the main line right here. So the main line going to the second pot, you can see I put a T-wire here, and for this pot, it doesn't require a lot of water, so I just used one spigot, okay? So one spigot is probably enough for some of those plants, and we go through the main line. You see the split here. This is the split that goes to the third pot right here. This one we use 2 because it's kind of water hungry. And continue from the main line. Okay, you go in, go here. This is the kumquat. And for the kumquat, again, it's a smaller pot, so just used one. And I push it in there so the water doesn't get splashed all over, and it would actually just go and soak the soil. And we continue with the main line. So for the main line, for those little long rectangular pots, I just rested the main line to the top. And you can see there are spigots coming out. This one, the side track here for this little bean plant, and this one goes down, and the Thai basil is kind of hungry, water hungry, so it needs 2. And there are 3 plants here. Should be enough. Keep it always moist. And continue. Here are some other plants. I don't know what this one is. This one just needs 1. So continue. Another split comes here. This is some sort of rose. And this one also just needs 1. Doesn't need a lot of water. And then finally we run to the gardenia right here. Okay. The gardenia ends with just a single head right here. I'm going to show you guys really quick. And this is actually kind of important when you finish the setup, okay? So you need to end with a restricted barbed wire or one of those stakes. Because if you don't, most of the water is going to gush out from the unhooked tube right here. So make sure at the very end you need to put some sort of water restriction here so the water doesn't go crazy at the end of the line. All right, and basically this is the last plant here. If I need to add more plants, it's very easy. I still have, I'm going to show you guys what's left after this. So again, once you have everything set up, it is really easy to reuse this setup later on when you come back from the trip. You literally just pull those pull those out for storage, and once you finish with, once you need to use them again, put the wire back out and just reset up like what you did the first time. And very, very easy. So that is one thing to take into consideration. At the very end, you make sure you want to put one of those restrictions over there, whether it be a T-splitter or whatever, or just this little like 2-line splitter. So this one that looks different, this is for if you accidentally screwed up and you cut the main line, you can very easily just rejoin the main line with this little barbed wire, okay? And we're joined really nicely. Let's see. And again, as I said, the barbed wire have no flow restriction. So again, at the very end, you want one of those restrictors to be put in place. If you don't have this, I don't know, if maybe they have some other kind of things that can block the end tube, you need one of those blockers. Otherwise, it's gonna go crazy. But without the timer, I'm just gonna turn on the water and test to see if water comes out from all those spigots rather evenly and smoothly. All right, so let's do the first test. At the end, with like 9 pots, some of them are rather big, I still left with about 8 of those stakes left, and have, I think, this like around 12, 13 of those left. And those 5 is for when you screw up and you accidentally cut the wire, you can rejoin them using this, using this single, the 2-sided. Okay, so I haven't used any of those because I didn't screw up. And some of those metal stakes have about 4 left. I staked them where kind of the weight is distributing so they don't move around. Yeah, let's put on the water. And as for tubing, you can definitely extend and water a lot more plants with additional tubing right here. All right, okay, so let's get started. And also in terms of the pressure of the water, you don't want to turn the pressure all the way up. You want to just have a very, let's see. You want to restrict the pressure as much as you can, because this really is not a high pressure line, okay? It just runs on low pressure and all the water should still come out rather nicely. And we will just find that perfect balance. I'm gonna turn off the faucet. Once the perfect balance is found, I turn off the faucet, I connect the wireless timer right here, and then the project is done. And I put it on a timer once we're leaving, just have it run at a certain time of the day for a certain amount of time. All right, okay, let's go check. So ideally, water should be coming out soon. And the water should be coming. All right, so it looks like I didn't tighten this properly. I definitely need to do this. And water is not coming yet. Maybe because it's loose. Let me check. I'm gonna put this on the ground and double check. Okay. All right, so now the water is flowing, okay? You guys can see. So this is the first pot, second pot, water is flowing perfectly fine. Third pot, it's flowing, okay? And this one we have 2, and this one is flowing as well. All right, I'm just checking them, so I pulled it up, but once I finish checking, I'll stake them back down. just to make sure all the spigot is flowing as intended. So this one. Yep, flowing. Perfect. And check all those basil plants. Flowing nicely. Here. Flowing. Good. And here. Flowing. Definitely flowing. Let's see. Yes, perfect. All right, so this is great. And the last one, of course. We don't want a lot of water to come out. Let's check this one. And it is not a lot of water. So I would say this is good for the end line, okay? And it's flowing perfectly fine. I'm gonna restake it and call it a day. All right, and obviously, if you want a little more flow, you can turn the pressure up just a little more, but you can see like it is, you know, doing its job rather quickly. And we also check for leaks. I don't want, I don't want any of the lines to actually leak out and then of course waste water. But so far I didn't see any leaks at any joints. So I think we are good. All right. And obviously you can customize and recheck periodically just to make sure, you know, the whole system is fine. But you can see it's super effective. It's already actually soaked all the soils. The water has already came out, like literally just within a couple minutes of me showing you guys the setup. Now, no water came out yet from those bigger pots, and that's probably the reason I put 2 over here for those water hungry ones. But the rest of the pot should be good. All right. So this is basically how you set up the planter tomato irrigation system using this method of the T connectors and stakes with spigots and stakes and tubes, and it's rather super easy and simple. Okay, easy process, but sometimes it is time consuming because if you live at a colder environment, those tubes is going to be really hard to get those barbs pushed in. Now I'm lucky I'm in tropical weather, so those tubes are very soft, very easy to do. Definitely use hot water if those tubes are not budging. Soak the end inside the hot water, make them soft, and then the barb installation will be easy. That's really the hardest part. All right. My last step is putting this on the Orbit B-Hyve Gen 2 faucet timer. Again, plenty of reviews for this, how to set it up, and it's actually a straightforward and easy and very affordable as well. So get this set up and you wouldn't have to worry again when you're on the trip, your plant, dying of thirst. All right, so I hope you guys found this video helpful. And if you did, please do hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I should have more gardening tips coming out for you guys. All right, so thanks again. And I will see you in the next video. Take care, guys.